In today's Community Connection with our very own Miss Susan Casper, we're talking about human trafficking, and you're telling us that it is reaching an epidemic proportion right here in America, and there's a very strong movement underway to help combat all of these sex crimes. What's going on?
Absolutely. We hear it in the news all the time, Terry. 1 in 3 at-risk and homeless youth, they have been trafficked right here in our state. The average age of a child first trafficked in Arizona, it is just 14 years old. We're talking 8th and 9th grade.
I can't even imagine.
Yes, that's right. And that is the exact age the nightmare began for a young woman I sat down with at the Phoenix Dream Center.
I grew up in a good home. Both of my parents worked good jobs. I did well in school. I played sports. I was on the swim team. I played volleyball and I played basketball. I did all the after-school activities that there's possible. I was a very, very busy kid.
Danielle, now 24, describes her vibrant childhood. But rewind 10 years ago, a much darker story.
And because I grew up sheltered, I had a lot of personal issues with my mother and with some of the rules that were in the home. I wasn't able to do the things that I believed that most kids were able to do.
Rules and restrictions Danielle refused to follow.
I wasn't allowed to spend the night over at people's houses. I didn't go to people's birthday parties, or I wasn't able to go out and just play outside. So I felt very, very restricted. One day I just decided that I wanted to be free from all of the constraints that were at home, and I decided to run away. I had met an older gentleman who was 30 years old. He asked me if I wanted to go to a party, and I had never been to a party. And he asked me if I wanted to make money, and I knew I needed money to survive. So I told him yes. I was willing to do anything to get away, and that's a very dangerous place for a kid to be. And now I'm aware of that. That's very, very dangerous. My gut told me that I shouldn't have been doing it. We actually never made it to a party. He ended up dropping me off on the track, which is where women go to work. I was still a virgin. I'd never been to sex ed class. I didn't even know what sex was. And he handed me a pack of condoms and he just told me to walk. I had this car that was circling around me. And eventually I got into his car. He had sex with me. All I remember was that he was in a red car. And then after that, I can barely remember the next 6 months because I was so just numb to everything. Groomed is what happens when a trafficker or a pimp or someone who has more knowledge than you takes you and they basically train you and they build you up to be somebody who you probably wouldn't be without their help. The pain that I would receive when I was getting beat by the guys that I was with out on the street, it didn't compare to the pain that I felt at home. So at a point in time, I remember telling my mom that it hurt more when she would hit me than it did when any man could ever hit me because the emotional damage was so much worse.
So we know there are more that are trapped in this life.
Brian Steele is executive director here at the Phoenix Dream Center. He says according to ASU data, 2,000 young women at any given time are caught up in human trafficking here in Arizona. With the help of law enforcement, rehabilitation and shelter centers like this one are recovering thousands of women and young girls.
Just here in Arizona.
And you're talking young girls.
Yeah. 11 to 17 are some of the younger ones that we serve. If they're a young adult with a child, 30% of the kiddos that we serve come in and they're pregnant and they have a whole other layer of services that they need. So this site's really dedicated to the young adults. And then the 11 to 17 year olds, we have a specialized site just for them. But yeah, it's heart-wrenching sometimes. But That's the bad news. The good news is there's a community that cares, and we're blessed to be a part of that community with Ms. McCain, the governor, and the governor's office of youth, faith, and family. It really is a strong force that we have in our community that is doing something pretty amazing about it. We're glad to be a part of that.
The Phoenix Dream Center saved me by giving me an opportunity. What I needed was an opportunity to grow, an opportunity to thrive. And this place, it just provided me like a safe place where I was able to sit there and to focus on the things that I needed to focus on. Their trauma-informed care is really what saved me. All the counseling, all the classes, the amazing staff that they have here. It still has been the place where I'm able to reside, where I feel safe and where I feel like I can move at the pace that I need to move at so that I can be successful.
The women here in this program are their family. Their family to me, their family to our caregivers. This program just means the world to me. And the people that are in it, they mean the world to me. She had that hard shell, that wall that was built up. And slowly but surely, after time and after time, it started to dwindle down.
Now, when I look at myself, I don't even I don't even recognize that person anymore.
It's just giving people a new foundation. It's having them start from where they left off in the teenage years and just being able to grow something different, and having supportive people who've been out there in the streets before, who've lived on the streets, who've gone through, who can relate in some type of way of being out there in the streets. It's not easy, but being able to know that you can relate to them and that they know that you understand what it's like to be out there, and to come alongside them in a way that is like family, but also in an authoritative figure with such grace and love. It does so very well for every one of these women.
Now that I'm older, I realize why a lot of the rules were set in place, because of the roads that it took me down from wanting to be free of that kind of stuff. And even seeing, young girls today, I realize why my mom did a lot of the things that she did. So it wasn't until I was ready to change, but my mom was very, very patient, and she waited many years for me to get myself back together. So now we do have a better relationship.
We provide domestic violence classes, relearning relationships, substance abuse, group counseling, one-on-one counseling, equine therapy, anger management. We even have a ladies only class that the girls love to go to, which teaches them ladies etiquette so they don't ever feel like they're out of place, how to walk through job interviews, everything that you can think of underneath the sun that somebody would need in the world is we try to provide for them. We're always in need of volunteers all the time, and of course, since we're a 501c3, we work on a lot of donations, so in-kind donations always help. They love to be able to have smelly good stuff when it comes to like their hygiene, brooms, mops, trash cans, pillows, because we do have girls that come in and out of the program, bed sheets. Anything that you can think of that would be normally in your home is what we would need for here. We have a capacity to hold 35 beds for women, 12 beds for men, and 6 alumni beds. And we are full in almost every program.
If I could say anything to a young lady that may be in a situation that may be wanting to run away, I would just suggest that they find someone that they trust to talk to, even if it's not a parent, if it's a counselor, if it's someone else's parent. Find someone that you trust to talk to before jumping and making a decision that could change your life.
To drop off donations or learn about volunteering at Phoenix Dream Center, please visit phxdreamcenter.org. Plus, a toll-free National Human Trafficking Hotline is available to answer calls from anywhere in the country, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That number's there on your screen. Our Community Connections sponsor Dignity Health. They also have resources available to help you learn more at dignityhealth.org.
You know, I was wondering, how long can those ladies stay at the Dream Center?
Well, the good thing is they are transitioning them to graduate, and I can share with you, Danielle is studying for her associate's degree. She is studying psychology. She wants to become a counselor. She hopes to graduate this summer, and she's going to go back to the Dream Center and counsel girls there.
Good for
so that's
her.
the goal. They try to get them on a track of graduation.
Yes.
And once they graduate, they want them to adapt back to
She
their
has
lives.
lived so many lives as a very young lady, and I'm looking at that piece and I'm thinking about, you know, her mother and parents. You know, we try to protect our kids, and
it doesn't
it's
always
hard.
work, but the good thing is there's places like the Dream Center available to you.
Thank goodness.
And she's on the road to recovery. So
Nice job.
Thank you to the Dream Center. Please donate.